Yeah.
Roll out this info.
I gave you warning.
Thank you. I will zip it.
It takes it a second to get there. Oh,
This is just.
that's okay. I'm telling you. It doesn't, like I just said, I've got the 23-year-old. It takes it a second.
There we go.
Hold on, I gotta turn the sound off here. And then we have to come back to Zoom. Oh my God.
That is nice.
Yeah, it comes up if you get on anything. Even if you go within the site, it'll come up again.
I just saw.
It was good. Good. I'm hearing chatter.
Wait a minute. It's not like I'm making this.
You want me to turn it down?
Yes, please. Just in case. I don't see us. Let's see. There we go. All right. Give us just a second to get started. We are live broadcasting.
We are live.
We are live here at Sarah Smith Intermediate, the Media Center.
There's your post.
I am going to attempt to put up our. Every time I come in, things have been rearranged. So it's always interesting. People coming up as background. Share. Let me minimize that and pull back up our presentation.
I'm in the circle of death.
Yeah, mine's not loading.
That's all right. I'll give you guys a second.
Enough.
Get back to.
Enough all the streaming platforms.
Oh, those messages. Yeah, it's like you had it.
And I checked, there was no one at the door else just now.
Okay. If they wanted to come. They have their chance.
We are so close.
Hey.
Yay. All right. Kelsey is monitoring the Zoom. And I think we are up and running. Those of you in the Zoom, can you see the presentation?
I can.
Yay, good news.
Yes.
So far, 100%. We're batting 100%. I'm going to turn it over to our lovely chairperson.
Okay. Good afternoon and evening. Welcome to the Sarah Smith February 2026 Go Team meeting, where we will follow the agenda as it has been emailed to you and publicly noticed on the Sarah Smith website. I would like to remind everyone that this is a meeting of the Go Team only. Only members of the team may participate in the discussion. Any members of the public present are here to quietly observe, whether virtually or in person. For members of the Go Team, please identify yourself when you speak. At the conclusion of this meeting, we will have public comment, a moment where stakeholders are allowed to share 2 minutes of verbal remark. Only stakeholders who have signed up by the deadline Wednesday, October 29th at 3 p.m. will be allowed to share a comment. I am pleased to call this meeting of the Sarah Smith Go Team to order at 3:05 p.m. The first order of business is to call roll. The secretary will now take roll.
That's you, Mr. Javier.
Yes. Minutes actually is loading up. Let's see.
All right.
She's got the names here.
See, I'm not sure if this is the right.
It's not the right, he's got the right, but you've got the names.
Yeah, you got the
Okay,
names, yeah.
okay.
You want to call them out for him?
Stacy Perot,
I am here.
Simona Derrickson,
Present.
Ann Mittman,
Here.
Elizabeth Zielinski,
Present.
Kiesa Carter,
She's out today.
Jennifer Moore,
Present.
Prissy Stewart, present, Lakeisha Smith,
Present.
Kelsey Bunker,
Here.
and Javier.
Here. Okay,
Okay. The team will only be able to take official action if a quorum is present. To the secretary, is there a quorum present?
Yes.
There is a quorum present, and we can now proceed to action items. The first action item is to approve the agenda. This was provided to us and copies are available on the Go Team page of the SRS website. Are there any changes to the agenda?
We discussed that they had an action item to vote on the draft budget, but it's not on the script, and typically that's done at the next meeting, so we're going to postpone that one to the next meeting.
So the change to agenda is to approve the vote of the draft budget. May I have a motion to approve the amended agenda?
I make a motion to approve the amended agenda.
A second?
I'll second. Lakeisha.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? Thank you. The amended agenda has passed. We will review and approve the meeting minutes from our last meeting. The minutes have been provided to us and copies are available on the Go Team page of the SRS website. Are there any corrections to the minutes
I can pull them up if needed.
from the last meeting?
When I tried to pull them up, it just looked like there were screenshots of
It
the
is.
presentation.
I'm getting it right now.
Okay, let me see if I can get there. I will go to our website.
It's listed in the Go Team thing as meeting minutes template 2.
Okay, I'm just going, should be on our website, right?
Because the ones I got, I just realized this week that they
Let me
were
go to our
not
drive
the
then.
right ones. So that meeting was
Hold
on,
one second. I will
January.
pull those up. Right in here. Our last meeting was our allocation meeting. Let me get this open. And then we can make sure.
thank you.
Here's our allocation meeting. And our minutes are right here. Right, so I shall cruise these down so you can peruse them.
So it's not gonna show up under that.
So like this.
It's not
stuff
on
on
that.
Yeah.
It's not
Mhm.
filled in.
Oh, okay.
So if you search for meeting minutes template, it comes up on that. So I
Okay,
don't know. I
'cause
think I typed them
You typed them
into,
into something else.
Into the template.
yeah,
So where do we find that?
in the Go Team folder
Go team folder.
and search meeting minutes. Right there.
Try
Yeah, template
This one?
2. Mhm.
And right this second, looks like right.
Yep.
Well, see, we can figure this
Yes.
out.
So that's it. So it's,
Take the
I'm
village.
uploading it right now.
No worries. All right, so excuse.
Pressing.
So the blank stuff really probably didn't good. Okay, so here's the first discussion.
Mm-hmm.
We did allocations. Population. This. Big. Points.
Okay.
That's the,
And then, I will say back on the December meeting minutes that are on the website, they never did get added that link, the list of our priorities that we voted on.
I inserted, so I'll do better at just downloading that right after our meeting and sending it, make sure it gets uploaded.
Thank you.
So we can add that. I'll just PDF both of these.
so can we make a motion to table these and approve all of them? At the next minute, the next meeting?
I think we approved it,
Mhm.
but the one that got uploaded is the wrong one. So we just need to make sure the correct one is uploaded.
Not the, I'm sorry, I mean this one. You know, since we're reading it on the screen. Like, do we have to approve it right now?
Yes. So we can take the time. That's the extent of it right there.
Mhm.
Still trying to convince me to bring back football.
No.
And then we can stop down. It was pretty cut and dry. We just
Mhm.
walked through the allocations. And we looked at a little bit of data, and I inserted the data that was requested into this presentation.
So
So-
that's what was on the bottom. So, okay. That is where the picture part
No, but
came
we'll get
in.
it. The picture was of the rankings that we ranked last time, which are in this presentation, because so we'll review them.
Okay.
And that should be on the December one.
Okay, is everyone
This is what-
satisfied? So may I have a move? No,
Motion.
minutes, a motion
Mhm.
to approve the meeting minutes from our January meeting.
I make a motion to approve the January minutes as we've reviewed them now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
We'll make sure it gets up on the new website,
Thank
right?
you.
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And abstentions? The January meeting minutes have passed.
Right, I just put on there, date approved, and we will, right now, just make sure we don't. I want to just download it right now, so we'll have it to send right to Priscilla Hanger to put up.
Thank you.
Are you ready for discussion items or you need a minute?
No, I just got to pull it back up. You could start the
Okay.
spiel while I get it.
So we will now move to the discussion items on our agenda. We have one, which is our budget development presentation. Discussion will start with Ms. Pearl.
Totally excited. I was saying before everybody came in, this is my Olympics. One chance to get the gold. Silver's not good enough. So yes, thank you guys. They make sure we know where we're at in the process. And every year I feel like this process has the same structure, but the way I attack it is a little different. And it was exciting being here and the challenge of the two buildings and all the feedback that I've gotten from staff and everything already. So I'm excited to be able to share that with you all. As we go into the planning, I always focus on the strategic plan and our priorities. I feel like one of my strengths is connecting dots. And so, it's interesting because I figured that out kind of through some of this process really is because with our 6 focus areas and blending those down to our strategic priorities and then blending those down to our budget, it's been a lot of fun. I know, it's so nerdy. But this is the piece that we cut and put into our December minutes that I'll make sure that are the right ones posted. This is where we ranked those strategic priorities as we went through. Everybody remember those?
Yeah.
And then we also talked about last time we met in January, we kind of went through and defined for sure kind of what are things that we really wanted to remember to keep into mind as we went through and looked at each of those priorities. All that coming back to you? It's coming back to me. Yes, 80s songs are the best. And so I just wanted to pull those out. That way, if we need to go back and look at anything, we can, and we don't have to search the folders. All right. I'm a very visual person. And so I have to move this guy when we get to down there at the bottom so we can see. But in thinking about this year in our staffing, the vast majority of the budget goes to staffing. And we're very fortunate that we also can dip into our foundation to help support some curricular things. And so that really allows us to focus on staffing. And so the structure for going through the budget will detail out all of this, but I'm a big picture person. I want to see it all at once, and then we can talk about the minutia. And it was different with the two campuses. I wanted to be able to visually represent that. And so it's represented here by each campus. It's all still part of the whole, focused around our 6 focus areas. And so what I wanted to do is just kind of walk through each campus here and talk about the decision-making pieces. And then it's all detailed out on the further slides from the template. And so, I kind of have them aligned each side, each building, kind of so you can see what it is. And the theme is it's coming together. We earned about an additional $1 million this year to help us staff and make sure that we are meeting the needs of all the students. And so as I go through, I'll kind of compare both types of positions at each building. And so to start out with, if you look, stays pretty much the same at the primary with 2 pre-K, 6 kinder, 6 first grade, and 6 second grade. And on the counterpart, there'll be 6 third grades, 5 fourth grades, and 7 fifth grades. And we kind of already talked about that. One of the things I want to change is right now we have 3 gifted and they work at both buildings going back and forth. That leaves for a little bit of instability. Okay, and so what I really want us to focus on is having people who are there on a regular basis where if you need to reach that person, they're there. And that's one of the things that's been hard with 2 campuses. So I'd like to have 2 in each building, and one of them would be a 0.8, which means they'd work 4 out of 5 days. And that would be at the primary because we don't serve kindergarten. We don't need somebody there every day. And I'll show what I did when we break everything down with the other 0.2 of that person to pay for another position. Then, if you remember, one of the priorities we had at leveling is we added the bilingual support to be able to provide EIP in Spanish on the math side. And so maintaining those, that would keep our bilingual teacher on this side and our bilingual para. We're talking about positions. She's a certified teacher, but she's working as a para right now. I know that's a real person, but that's working well. The reason why I have a teacher here and a para there is our class sizes are too big here. I need to generate FTE by having a certified teacher that can provide that augmented EIP. When you get to the intermediate grades, your class sizes can be bigger, and I can provide the similar support with a para and not have to spend as much. It just needs a little bit more guidance from the teacher. And then this is a 2 where you can't see behind. There's 2 EIP teachers at each campus. This year, we've had 2 hourly, a reading teacher and a math teacher that were here hourly. And so they did not work the full day. I am removing the hourly positions and replacing them with full-time positions with benefits. So they would be here the full day. The people who are currently in the hourly position have done fabulous, and we will invite them to interview for those positions when it's approved and goes through all that. So then we have the 2 EIPs. So essentially you have 3 and 3 providing that at each building. Then if you look at PE, music, art, SEL, and media, specials wise, teachers continuing. I kept SEL at this campus. I think it's great to keep working on those social skills and some further development next year. On this side, we kept the science lab in place of that. We will be adding specials wise using our IB coordinator in the 5th to have exhibition special It's gonna be so fun. Then I go down to the ESOL. This year we had 4.5 ESOL as well. But it was, we funded a third grade DLI English partner with half in ESOL and half a teacher. I was able to prioritize paying for the full teacher with regular gen ed funds, which is going to free up to get an additional half ESOL teacher. Right now, I'm thinking that's going to be needed at the intermediate, but once we see students who are here and everything, we can always move that. But just knowing, so that would be an additional position that we'll have. I kept the special ed. It always depends on where the students are when we make schedules, but we have a total of 9 special ed resource teachers and the 2 AU programs at each program. So that's kind of the division right now, but it could change depending on the students. So an additional thing I'd like to do is right now we have 2 clerks and a bookkeeper. And then we had added 2 hourly clerks, which was, we've kind of gone through that consistency, with that consistency. But what we found, as you know, is we didn't have anybody here in the summer to make sure registration was happening and answer phones and be present in the summer. So what I'd like to do is both the secretary and the bookkeeper positions are annual positions. And I would like to add the secretary in place of those hourly clerks. And have one at each building so that we have somebody at the building year round answering that, managing that. And then that would mean, depending on how everything falls out, I put a little star by here because ideally I would like one of the clerks to be bilingual. And so it's just to say that when we get ready to post positions, if one of the clerks should end up open, that ideally it would be bilingual, or the secretary would be bilingual. We want to make sure we balance that. Going through the rest of the positions, 2 custodians at each building. Ours are contract. They're not actually employed directly from APS, but the funding that we have for our 4 custodians goes to them, and they're phenomenal. Best custodians I've seen in APS anywhere. SRO at each building is in the budget. And then when it comes to paras, 2 pre-K paras, 1 for each classroom, 6 kinder paras, 1 for each classroom. We have a DLI para that serves first grade, and the rationale for maintaining that is those classrooms tend to be at 26 and higher if any students are retained, because we have 26 coming up. If they retain any, that tends to be the grade where students get retained. Keep that support in there. We also have a gen ed para, and she tends to work mostly in 2nd grade, pushing in, providing support in the traditional classes, and some in the DLI as well. And then 6 sped paras at each building. Over on the other side, we don't have all that additional paras except for the EIP bilingual and the 6 special ed paras. The other difference at each building that I'd like to do is I would like to add 1 more assistant principal. And the rationale for that is stability. With having 1 person at each that's there, they get too heavy of a load. It really is too much for 1 person. With in my case, with the principal and the AP, we go back and forth, and it makes it hard, again, to know, I have Mr. Champions, my evaluator. He's not here. I have a question. I need to get to him. He's at the other building today. By the time it comes Thursday, he's back in the building. I've forgotten I need him, or we are dropping balls. And so I consulted with Brandon's principal, and he was experiencing the same things the first 4 or 5 years. And the thing that he said really changed it and brought that stability to the campuses is when he had two at each, and then he operates more like the CEO between the two buildings. Still evaluating teachers, still doing those things, but it has those teachers able to get to an administrator. And where I see it as we are trying to lay out expectations and instructional things and move them forward. And when we're not there consistently, it makes it really hard to inspect what we expect. And then I don't want that to fall to the instructional coaches, because I want the coaches to be able to be there to move up instruction. And so would like to add an additional admin, and I did put, and right now where that admin would fall obviously depends on who it would go in that position, but I would like that person also to be bilingual. And represent the communities that we serve. And so those are school specific positions. And then if you look at our focus areas, the positions that would be going back and forth between buildings. Of course, that's me as the principal. Our social worker would work at both buildings. Our school psychologist, we share her with Brandon. We really get her way more, but we share. And our site manager, and those kind of fall under those focus areas. And then as well with our instructional coaches, that's not what I wanted you to do. Our instructional coaches, our MTSS specialist, counselor, IB coordinator, and eventually our science lab, Mr. Hooker, he's under a master teacher leader. And so I would love to see him in his extra time in his schedule to be able to move the science program forward as well. So he may have some overlap where he could go back and forth, just providing some in-service, some planning times, supports and rooms. And so that's all the positions that I am proposing for next year. You will see there's one missing that we had this year that would be an abolishment, and that is parent liaison. And you'll see through the plan, the rationale for that is if I bring in a bilingual clerk and a bilingual admin, we can distribute some of those responsibilities, and also the social worker. But I would also propose in our reserve, if we make our reserve and we get our funds, we could bring in, we'd have enough funds to hire a parent liaison. On a side note, I know we talk about positions, not people. Our parent liaison was already not returning for next year. And so because of his other responsibilities and duties, so not like chasing anybody away.
Thanks for sharing.
And so he said I had permission to share that with you, because I know you're thinking, what is she doing to see? And so we're gonna have to find someone anyhow. That will give us plenty of time once reserve kicks in to hopefully find somebody if we need somebody in that role. But even then, if we don't, we have the responsibilities can be distributed. So, and just kind of in comparison, Jackson, Brandon, Garden Hills, their budgets also don't have a parent liaison in them as we're checking. They distribute those responsibilities to others.
Before we go on, can I
Yes.
ask questions about positions?
Yes.
I just need context because different titles mean different things in different
Yes.
places. So in this context, what would be the differentiation between site manager, program admin, bookkeeper?
Site manager is Joel, who runs both buildings, the physical maintenance.
So facilities.
That's,
Okay.
he's over facilities. The program admin,
Well, that answered that because I'm thinking that's more of a operations.
the program admin,
No, the site
site
manager.
manager, he's operations, he's the facility, and they.
I'm thinking corporate. That's
Yeah,
right.
yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
All right. And then program admin, I know but that doesn't overlap because that's facilities.
Mhm.
And then the bookkeeper is solely financial in this context,
She
right?
does financial, payroll, can help with registration and stuff, so
I'm caught up.
annually, yes.
And then, I,
Some schools, instead of a bookkeeper, will have a school business manager.
yeah,
And that typically is an administrator, like, who can do evaluations and such as well, and takes on the responsibility of like scheduling and bookkeeping.
bringing in a second admin, I understand. However, if we bring one in that's bilingual, which will be needed, but then they take on the role of parent liaison, would that give them kind of a responsibility and burden that exceeds maybe the two other admin?
No, we all kind of distribute things. It wouldn't be they wouldn't take on all the responsibilities of the parent liaison.
Mhm,
Some of those would be distributed to a clerk as well,
mhm.
so that, you know, like sending out the messages in Parent Square, they could do that, making sure messages get out. I would probably give the admin more the messaging things in like the WhatsApp and make sure to connect. And have one at each campus, like wherever I don't have a bilingual admin, to make sure that's where the bilingual clerk is. So that we're able to
Hey, sweetie
connect.
pie.
Cause, hey, honey.
I'm sorry, guys.
Cause every now and then, like, we'll have to say, you know, Mr. Kasike, we need you at the
Mhm.
primary, hop in the car, run over, and that way we could have somebody at each.
And then,
Yeah, I have a question. How do you come up with this plan? Do you just based on your observations and experience here, or do you get feedback from the staff?
I've gotten feedback from the leaders, the school, what I call the SILT, which is the instructional leadership team, the coaches, the admin team on that. I bring it to you first, and then take that feedback and we'll connect with the staff as well. I did it based on my observations. I did it also based on our priorities that we had established as I went through and looked at each of our strategic objectives and thought, what meets this and optimizes providing the supports that teachers need, that students need, to be able to improve our practices and really make our practices more consistent. You know, where I'm seeing is in that consistency across classrooms in a particular grade, across the whole building. And one of the hard pieces is our admin team being able to be out and about and in rooms, because having one at each building that's really there, they end up with the heaviest load. And if they always had two, then we could distribute that better. It has been my observation. And, you know, because, you know, in all honesty, I'm pulled so much for things that, yes, I'm an admin, but boots on the ground, I need more boots on the ground. Is what I'm seeing. And so as I walked through here, with the strategic use of the resources, I kind of went through each of our focus areas and kind of outlined my thoughts with that. And really, you know, the strength of the team. When we look at the full budget, you'll see some of the additional things that I made sure to add in that we prioritized is, you know, make sure we're training and retaining our teachers. We have a lot of teachers who are doing clubs. I wanted to make sure that our stipends that we offer as a district are minimal. But I wanted to make sure that we had those in there for those teachers next year. Make sure that those who are doing like the communication ambassador work, whoever that might be, gets their stipend, and some of those things that people do out of the goodness of their heart. to do all these clubs, but to make sure that they get some compensation for it as well. To keep going through strategic use of resources. I talked about most of this.
The last one was the push-in support that we had at the intermediate campus this year.
Mhm.
Where are they being, well, where are those positions being absorbed?
Those are the EIP positions.
Okay,
Yeah, and I extended them instead of being hourly, which let them serve 3 to 4 segments. They would be here full day, which would be 5 to 6 segments.
okay.
Most, and at the intermediate ends up being 5 because it's a little bit longer segment. And so what that looks like when you kind of weigh it out to kind of see, and I'll show you where I shifted roles and positions based on, if you remember the allocations. This is an example of the summary tab. If you look, when we look at it, the baseline is what the district recommends for staffing. If you remember, they recommend staffing, kindergarten 23 to 1, so 23 students to 1 teacher. First through third is at 24, and fourth and fifth are at 30. And so when you look at kind of some of those positions, that's where the baseline comes from. Then the staffed is when you look at each individual in their position that I'm recommending. So you will see that sometimes there's a difference. And so I'll explain those to you as well. And then the comments here. Let's see, what is it? If there's a difference, I'll explain that. And there's a little comment next to it. And then I can elaborate on that for you, which I really like this. This is a new step they put into the budget process this year. I love anything accountability wise. So I know numbers are blah. Okay, so if you look, the baseline, the staffed, and the difference. And so if you looked at the baseline positions that they would say, and what I've actually staffed, you can see the difference is an increase. And so it's easiest to see it if you go through each. So for example, staffed according to what the numbers would be in K1, 2, 3. In 4th grade though, if I did it purely on that 30 to 1 ratio, then I would only have 4 teachers doing that. We know what that looks like because we're living it right now. So bump that one up to 5, and I'll show you where I pulled the extra teacher from. Same with 5th grade, bumping that one up because we already know 6 is not pleasant based on what we're experiencing in our 4th right now. So those you'll see I've pulled them from the teachers. Remember, we generated a lot of funds through gifted. So I'm pulling those 2 from the funding over here with gifted to make up these 2.
So Stacy, are we not gonna? I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Thinking and my ear going at the same time. Are we? Is 3rd grade pretty low?
3rd grade's great.
There's 6.
They have 16 in each class.
Okay, got it. I didn't know
Remind me
that.
what the current 4th grade is. The current 4th grade.
30 in each.
30.
And
Each traditional-
each traditional
has 30
class.
has 30, and then the
And they're
DLI
adding
is
on a
24, 25.
On a
Added
weekly
this-
basis.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like every child born in the United States that moves here is a 4th grader. Every time they say, I'm like, okay. And so our EIP teachers, the baseline is 2. I staffed the 5 and just kind of distributed them out. The teachers served multiple grades, even though they might be assigned to 1. And so just distributing them like I showed you on there. Right. Then when you look at our specialists, we get funded at 1.8. So we got to fund them for 2 full teachers. So I got to pull out an extra
Mhm.
0.2, and that comes out of some of the EIP funds, some of the gifted funds to kind of make up that difference. The other thing is with world language, I'm taking the other 0.2 of gifted, that teacher that I said I'm gonna do at 0.8, in order to have 2 world language teachers, 1 at each campus. To maintain that, that's where that comes from. And you see, it's listed here as one is teacher world language. On ours, the other one's in signature world language teacher. I could have moved them, but it would be more paperwork than to make a difference. The gifted, I already explained, we've generated a lot of funding this year to help us push that into other departments. Let me move this little friend again. And then when you come down, these positions are funded through federal funds. I could probably add on to them, but you can't reduce them. And so these are locked and loaded how they are. And then with ESOL, special ed, our autism classes, our special ed parapros, it's all based on what we generate from the actual students who are in the building. Kindergarten, kept all our kindergarten paras, and then our 3 extra instructional paras, 2 on the primary side and 1 member from the visual.
On the 4th grade,
Mhm.
my understanding is that is our only grade open to school choice. Do you have an idea of how many students have applied to school choice at Sarah Smith? And do you get to make a call on how large that would push those class sizes to?
Yes, I kept it very minimal when I opened up the numbers. I should have looked to see what I put on there when I worked through it with the district. I think it was less than 5.
Okay,
Is that upcoming 4th or upcoming 5th?
upcoming 4.
Upcoming 4th, yeah. And part of it was for school choice, we couldn't open up K1 and 2, and they recommended that because as we're looking to build, they didn't want us to start out over capacity for, we don't want to blow up our student population by the time we're built.
Makes sense. And then on the gifted teachers, do you think the 3.8 staff will allow capacity for talent development?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, most definitely. And I can't remember which groups I've talked to about this because I talked about DLI advisory and such. The plan is, so both teachers, they won't be assigned to a grade. They'll both teach all the grades. So that way, all the gifted kids in a grade come out the same day, whether they're DLI or they're traditional, they'll all come out. We'll all still be mixed, DLI and traditional. But that way, right now, the teachers have that imbalance where some gifted kids are one day, some gifted kids are another day, because we had them kind of assigned by grade level. Rather than do it that way, they'll co-plan and both serve for next year.
So they're gonna have different grades on the same gifted class?
No.
Is what you're saying?
But the teachers will serve instead of Miss Palmer just working with 4th grade, she would have 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Okay.
And so that way, when they pull them,
Is the only major reduction, if that's a reduction from baseline to staff that I see is gifted, so.
and really, right now we have 3. And so it's actually, I've
It's an
improved it,
increase,
but
yeah.
I've shifted those funds so that we can have smaller gen ed class sizes.
Okay.
I'm asking for a very naive
No, ask.
workload. At the PC, only 1st and 2nd are receiving services.
Mhm.
I have this Invisalign, it's tearing me up, I'm sorry.
No, oh, ouch. It hurt me
But,
too.
so the 0.8, I guess I can see the workload for IC. I'm having a little bit of trouble seeing it for the PC, losing a grade in terms of workload, but adding a person.
But so that there's 2, so those kids could still be served. And remember, that person's gonna work 4 days instead of 5. So it would be, they'll have their both will pull out the first graders, because there's too many to do at one time. Both will pull out the second graders, and then they'll have a talent development time as well. And so, and where you really want to focus that talent development is K through 2. I mean, you want to do it in the higher grades, but you're doing it more in isolation then, because the students, you know who's already been tested, what they need to work on. But in K1, 2, you want to develop as many kids as possible, because a lot of times it's just understanding the strategic thinking that they do on like the COGAT and the NMAT and stuff like that. Did I say a bad word? I'm sorry.
Bad word.
And why is baseline for SEL 0 when we have already had that person?
It's the district doesn't fund it.
Okay,
So us pulling that out, that's an additional one that we're funding. But let me show you on the next slide where I pulled it from.
And Jennifer just posted in it. She said also the class size is supposed to be smaller for gate resource and younger kids than older grades. Just FYI, that's what she said as well.
You always got to have that
She's got it
support.
there,
Thank
yeah.
you. I told you, you monitoring would help. And so here you can see the baseline, what's recommended, you know, based on what we earned. And then what I'd be staffing at. And then same with school secretary and bookkeeper, clerk. The change here is for counselor. We get, they recommend 2 for us. We use 1 as an SEL teacher, more instructionally, and keep 1 counselor more responsive, small groups, things like that. When you come down, you can see media specialists at each, nurse at each, leaders are leaders. That's our ELA coach. This signature master teacher leader is our science lab and lead science. Our program coach, that's our IB coordinator, and this is where the other Spanish teacher is. And
There's math.
Above an instructional coach, 211 days.
yes,
Oh,
this
got it,
instructional
okay.
coach, this is the reading, and that's because you could use them in any subject, and we use math. Then our social worker, our MTSS, psychologist, custodian, site manager, which I know you can't see, and our school resource officers. So I like this and being able to see like where we shift from. It's totally transparent. Letting you know those pieces of the people. So our budget is not just all about people, although it's pretty close. Because our most valuable asset from our budget are the staff who are here to implement all the things. Our reserve funds are 183,000. They reserve a percentage of our budget to make sure all our kids show up. And then if they all show up, then we get that much back. If more show up, we get a little extra. And if you remember this year, we got a little extra. They did make some recommendations this year also that I found very helpful. Because now we are in charge of any overtime for our custodians or our school resource officers or our site manager. Like if there's something that happens on a Saturday and Joel has to come in, we have to pay him for those hours. So they recommended, based on what we've experienced this year so far, the amount to set aside, which helps. So I set aside exactly what they recommended. If it's left over as we get closer to the end of the year, we can shift it always. I did go down a little bit on the recommendation for teaching and other supplies, because when we get our reserve back, I can boost that up. And we also have the benefit of foundation grants to help provide as we move throughout the year. Media supplies, I boosted that up by $4. I was feeling really generous.
And we love it.
I like good numbers, so that, and then the district recommends, and provides for academic stipends for our team leaders, our grade level leaders. Those are built in there, but this is where I put in the other stipends for our clubs, communication ambassador, our school improvement team, we do have representative of our specialist team and our ESOL EIP. And in order for them to also be compensated for the extra work next year, I would like to make sure to boost that in there. In the past, ESOL got these extra stipends and you didn't kind of feel so guilty, you make it, you know, because they were getting a stipend for that, but they don't anymore. So I wanted to make sure and put that in for next year's budget. And then our in gray again is locked, our teacher subs. And the FICA that would go along with that. We funded at 8 subs per staff member. And that's what it would cost to pay subs for all that. We probably go right up to it during flu season too. It's been busy. We don't pay for like subs that are out on like family medical leave. Those things are taken care of by the district. And then cafeteria monitors, I put in for 3 cafe monitors to start the year. And then when we get our reserve funds, we can add one. And I'll show you that. That's a hard position to keep staffed. This is the budget by function. If you break it down into each of the big categories on our budget, when you look, you can see the vast majority is on instruction and services. And what they include to, and I'm just going to go by it for just a second because I wanted to make sure to discuss with you what I was thinking for reserve funds and get some feedback. So I wanted to have something set in stone this year to fall back on. If at leveling where we get additional funds, especially, and if our traditional classes are approximating that funding size like they were this year, although they've grown and grown and grown, that our first priority ought to be adding another teacher to that grade level and going ahead and making that split of the kids. Next is adding supplies monies to the budget. And I also included any printers that are not, they're removing all of our local classroom printers from the network. And we're getting new copiers that will be able to print to in both black and white and color. But some individuals are going to need to keep individual printers, the bookkeeper, special ed teachers, psychologists, to be able to print things that they need. And so for those, we'll have to buy additional ink that before the district was providing. But so I would definitely want to shift some funding to be able, and you know how expensive ink is.
I just have a question,
Mhm.
and I know that's for privacy, why they have to keep things.
Yeah.
You don't have it where you have to tap your ID and it only prints?
We are hopeful the new are supposed to be like that. I don't know if it'd be they're typing our ID or putting in an ID
Yeah.
number to print. But yes, and but having some, just few individuals will
Okay.
need them. It's not overwhelming, but like I need to be able to print in my office, you know, kind of thing. Oh, we lost one.
So that's $33,000 for ink on those.
School, any school supplies. I think our science lab's gonna need some additional resources to be able to kind of keep that phenomenon going. I know, for example, when he tried to use the microscopes, like majority really didn't satisfy the real needs. So I'd like to get him some more microscopes when they were looking at the different plant and animal cells, that really can see. Like I think they might be old, and I think we have like new technology now.
Could that be something that can route through foundation?
It could as well, if we don't get our reserve or anything, but when I was looking at like how I would use it. But if you guys have additional ideas, for sure, I put in to have an additional lunchroom monitor. It's really ideal to have 2 in each cafeteria. Starting out with 3. Added in, if we did getting I'm aware of some consultants that could come in and help us with some of the school culture, curricular resources and such for that. And and then adding back the parent liaison. Especially if we don't need a teacher, because the parent liaison is budgeted at 66,000. And like I said, if we know we're doing that, to be able to go back.
I would say adding staff, I mean, as most of this is staff positions, is definitely the priority if foundation is able to support with
Absolutely.
supplies.
Is there something something that you just pictured that we need that I didn't include? Staff wise, when you say that.
No, I think that you have covered every staff position I could think of. I think to some of Simona's questions, it does, we do always sometimes wonder how should we see these roles affecting our children, right? Because that's what all of this is about, is making sure that all of the kids are successful in the building. And I trust that you have a good intuition that this is the team to raise it up, connect the dots.
I've just been so excited with where we've already come and where I think we can go. And it's a work in progress. But I think it's always more hands on deck as long as those hands are focused and aligned. And so, but again, the leveling, this is for guidance. If between now and when leveling comes out, a new priority comes up, this is something we can discuss. But I love that they make us think about, what are you going to do? What are you possibly going to need? And oftentimes, for those schools that are having to eliminate positions for funding reasons, it's like, how are we going to prioritize that? And we're fortunate that that's not really where we're at. And in making the decision with the parent liaison, it allowed to just kind of bump it and also give us time to find somebody, because it's not an easy position to find. Any other questions with that? And so they gave us some guiding questions. Does it support the strategic objectives that we ranked? And like, if you go back to when we did rank them, the family engagement was our last one, because we do have pretty strong family engagement. I am not minimizing the need to have somebody focused, bilingual, reaching out to that community. And it still maintains a priority, just we may shift that role, or bring it in a little bit later. Any observations?
I appreciate the depth at which you thought about the positions and their ability to cover what's needed during a school day, even allocating to the 0.8 of a position and being able to support how that will still be used to the most efficient and effective use. I think that visual that you had was super helpful to see, because because as we know, like, if you don't see the whole picture, things get lost in I didn't realize that this would have this domino effect. So I think in just hearing the thought process and in how you shared how the resources are going to be used, it seems like every person has a specific goal, job, position, role that they'll be playing. And so I appreciate seeing that, because I don't feel like there are always going to be like little gaps here and there, but I feel like you've had the mindset of filling in gaps, which I feel like that was.
We had lots of
very helpful.
feedback that helped me get there.
I feel like this was a very in-depth, and I can tell that you took the time to plan.
It's a lot of hours, and I also wanted to make sure that where we generated the funds, we put some of it back into.
Mhm.
So like we generated the funds in EIP and in gifted.
Mhm.
And I wanted to make sure that some of it also went to EIP and gifted. And then the rest helped us with gen ed.
Yeah.
I'm getting feedback from teachers too that are watching.
Do we have any budget in there for like read, write, supplemental material like practice books or things like that?
We're very fortunate in that some of it is provided by the district as part of our curriculum adoption, but in the supplies, that's where it, and we also get a significant bump from the foundation. We're able to, I'm actually meeting with them in a couple of weeks to look at the things that maybe aren't included in here curriculum wise. These are the things that we're gonna fund. Where I didn't have the money in the past, you would have seen a lot for like web subscriptions. Kelsey was on my Go team at Garden Hills, and so she knows we always had a lot for like web subscriptions and for the field trips and for other things that we have the advantage that I can get an extra teacher for that instead of having to budget. Thank you, Foundation out there.
Yeah, that's huge.
Starstruck.
That's great.
New season.
So you guys can have more time to think about it too, and because when we come back, we can look at that. So this is,
There's two
Oh.
questions in the chat. Are those covered?
Yeah. we already did this?
Yep.
Okay. It says the Go team needs to take action and vote on the proposed budget. We could do a motion and a second. We said that we would table that and do that at the next time. Are you guys comfortable with
Yeah.
staying there?
And then that would give people the opportunity who might not be here today can look it over and then.
Maybe
be
Yeah,
able to
I think
decide.
so too.
But our vote next time will take place before any public comment. So any comments that people would have would need to go directly.
Or to any of
Or to
you,
any of us.
Yeah.
anybody out there who
Yeah.
wants to say, hey, did you think about this or did you think
Yeah.
about that? And what that trade-off would be, please take it to your Go team member, to myself, and we will be able to, we could always reconvene and discuss it when we come back. And so we'll keep going past that. That will be our next meeting, the finalization. And so that concludes that. I appreciate that compliment too, by the way. Thank you. I had to do the visual, y'all. That visual was, I was like, it's in my head. I can see it.
No, I needed to see that too.
It's very helpful.
But like with two schools, like before, I felt like I could paint that picture with one, but when you have two campuses, you really had to see it.
Mhm.
And I'll share that with the staff next.
Thank you so much for your budget presentation. We'll now move to information items. We have 3, the principal's report, then we'll move to public comment. No, 2, principal's report and public comment.
Yeah,
Sorry.
and I don't know that we have any other announcements.
So,
You-
so
Well,
question,
one announcement I do have.
don't we have to approve the draft budget?
No,
Because that's based on the minutes. There's a vote there. No?
Yeah,
It's weird, right?
it's weird.
It says approval of the draft budget.
And then do we
Motion
approve?
and seconded, so we don't have anything there. We're not doing that.
You could note that we pushed it to
Postpone to the next meeting,
meeting.
yeah.
Because you then take the draft budget to your budget meetings.
Uh-huh.
So, and then it'll be approval of the budget. So for
Right.
this
Oh.
one, just say moved to March meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, and
So we don't have to approve what you
So we
think.
don't have to do anything, and we'll make sure that that is on
Did
the
you
March
pick
meeting
from the
minutes.
training, did you gather that it was different than in years past that we approved the draft?
Well, when do you
No.
meet?
I meet with the 26th, the end of the month. So I meet to go over what we discussed. Or do we vote twice now? But you say in the script it doesn't have anything about voting, Simona?
It doesn't have anything about voting. It says kind of like if ready or if discussions are, so it gives us the option.
Well, okay, what we should maybe clarify is if that draft budget needs to be approved before you present it on the
Mhm.
26th, because then we would have to have a meeting before the 26th if it needs to be approved. You're talking the 26th of February,
February,
right?
yes.
Do you want me- I can step out and call the go team office. You want?
It might be
It might be worth it
worth
to,
it, just so
to
we don't
check
have
to
to.
Chandra. Sometimes they're in listening, but
I
I
know,
think
sometimes
there's like,
they're like,
but I think there's like.
I know, yeah.
kind of scared. I'm under Sarah Smith parent.
But I think, there's so many of us today, like they sent the list of all the schools that were
Yeah.
having their meeting today. They may not be able to, and I did get confused by this step and I didn't remember it in the training.
Mhm.
Years.
But
Oh,
Had
yeah.
it approved before
Mhm.
the budget meeting. My computer's funky.
That's what I'm missing.
Oh, sounds like she got someone.
Diane Jacoby says, yes, we need to take a vote on our draft budget.
on the
Okay.
draft budget, okay. All
Uh-huh.
right, so we're going back to what we said and we're actually gonna do it.
Have we-
So
So
wait,
thank you for clarifying.
So do we need to amend the
the
amendment?
minutes, yeah, amend the minutes, amend the amended minutes.
The agenda,
Agenda.
we'll just, because we didn't change it on there. I think we're okay as long as we say here, after consulting the go team office. We do realize we have to approve the draft budget. And so coming back to this visual and then the funds for you guys.
I make a motion to approve the draft budget. This is
I-
Elizabeth.
I second that. This is Javier.
Okay, that's me, all in favor. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Opposed? And any abstentions? The draft budget has
Jeff,
passed.
yes,
Right.
awesome. I will flip then.
Robert's Rules of Order.
Yes, and we are following them. Okay, so next, when we meet again, we'll have the final. You know, I always start with just where we're at in place and time to kind of connect us back to our IE units. And so we are currently at 850. That's with 40 being pre-K. And so we're roughly 810 K through 5. They have us projected next year at 787. I still think it's a little low. So if we maintain, we should be just fine at leveling. And so checking our numbers, you can see the distribution remains pretty consistent. We are going through gifted eligibility, so we're likely to grow as we go through that. Our attendance has come down a little bit, 89%. I blame the flu.
Kids are just
Yeah,
dropping like.
they're so sick.
That sometimes people move and forget to tell you and like they move to other schools.
And what we can do, once we figure that out, we go back to our last day of in attendance. And so just going back and checking on that. But yes, we do experience that pretty often.
That's
And
rude.
then Yeah.
Just.
they just, or they tell the teacher and the teacher knows, but it doesn't get into the front office for a while. So yes, that does happen. And so that number can go up and down. But we are encouraging if people are sick, stay home. The number is the number.
Mhm.
The flu is the flu. Don't bring it back.
Yeah.
Behavior has been fairly consistent, not terrible. The kids are tired, teachers are tired. But as far as where we're at, nothing is alarming there. I wanted to share, and I shared this with PTO today, so I apologize. A couple of you saw it earlier, but we are about to do the Georgia School Climate Survey before the end of March. We'll have till the end of March to do it, but as soon as we come back, by the time the science night is out, I'll distribute it and we'll have it out. And the family survey was one that we had low participation on last year. And so we talked about, and I would like your input as well. And see if I can make that a little bigger for you guys. the word out to go ahead and to participate and to give feedback, and also maybe how can we help parents know about some of these responses. And so I think the way they're worded this year, and which was similar to last year, is better because it's more specific. Like a question is, how fast does your child's school respond to your phone calls or emails? And so you have things like never responds in 5 or more days, 2 to 4 days, 1 day. Whereas before it had things like seldom, never, often. And so by being
It's
more
harder.
specific, it defines it
Mhm.
out. And it goes down to, the teachers responding.
Yeah.
Um,
I even feel like
National
last year it would
parents.
be like, how does the school respond? And I remember thinking like, well, do you mean like the teacher? Or do
Right.
you mean the admin? Or do you mean like if I need to get in contact with the social worker?
Mhm.
That was,
Mhm.
so this is
I do,
more
I think that
clear.
it is, and especially because it's tied so tightly to our CCRPI, which is public, how many school climate stars do we get?
Mhm.
This is one of the things factored into it. And it can be an easy win, if, we can get parents to respond and to understand, what it's asking. So I think the questions are well written now. How positive have your interactions been with staff? Not positive, slightly positive. If you're all one and not the other, it's not going to be accurate. You're always going to have some people who are pleased, some people who aren't. And then there's some things for informational only.
How did they send these out? Is it like APS Robo?
I will send them out. There's a
Distribution.
link, there's a specific link. Families do it, teachers do it, staff do it. They distinguish the difference between teachers and staff, and 3rd through 5th grade students do. And there's an individual link for our school that we provide. And so we were talking about me doing like a video, kind of
Mhm.
explaining it, showing these resources. Hey, this is coming out. Hopefully you can take the time. It only takes 5 to 10 minutes. These are the questions you'll see, but we also talked about proactively, for next year, pointing these out as we go along. Where can you find this information? Those things would help.
Can it be on one of the announcement squares
Mm-hmm.
on the
Could be on the-
website?
Yeah. And they usually have a window of a couple of months that it's out. And so I figure my goal is to have it ready to go out science night and have the QR codes. So while we have a lot of people captive in the building, here, take a minute, kind of like we did with the Thanksgiving lunches with the family engagement survey. I think, when you have people there, give them a little task to do. So any other advice that you guys have for this as we get ready to do that?
It's not something that you can say like, this class has the most participation, unfortunately.
No,
That's-
no.
Can you
It
give them
is.
like a sticker, like the I voted?
Yeah.
I did my climate survey.
Or what about stickers with the QR code on them
Send all the kids
to go home, like pizza night,
Yeah.
survey night? That kind
I
of
think even
thing.
just sending an infinite campus message, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you're gonna send a message to my phone, I'm gonna click it on my phone and click through it.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's probably easy.
Yeah.
And free.
Yeah,
Yeah, we don't.
and not on the bottom of the bus,
Yeah.
the floor of the bus.
And so the only other thing I had is I wanted to bring that data back to your attention. I promise I'm gonna get a second screen so this little guy isn't on here because he just doesn't go away. But if you look, this was what we looked at last time, was the developing and up, and you guys requested to see what proficient and up looks like as well for each of our subgroups. And remember, we compared winter to winter to see how we were doing. But also we could see based on how students performed in winter, how did they perform on the milestones? And then when they came back, how did they do? And that growth from one test time to the next. And so I wanted to remind you what you saw last time before I put up the proficient. And of course, now they've updated and it pulls them separate. So I've got by student group and then by ethnicity on two different slides. So it's a little bit bigger, so it makes it a little easier. I've got a pencil up now. Don't need that, just need this. But you can see the differences with proficient with our groups.
Can you move the bar to the top?
Yes, whenever you're ready.
I mean, just over the words, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, I can put it there. So one of the things that I'd like to look at is comparing, okay, where we were last year, where we are this year, knowing it's different kids, because the fifth graders are gone.
Mhm.
We have new third graders. And to see where we're at. We really have to figure out math and our Black and Hispanic students. I am anxious to see how having new curricular resources next year may impact that. And my rationale with that is we're currently using the Godot lessons mostly, almost entirely. And they're well written, well planned out. They do miss some of the explicit instruction. And the teachers are planning that explicit instruction and wondering if having a vetted curricular resource that's been developed through evidence and research-based companies, using that, if it taps into some of the students that we may be missing, some of the language resources that are often provided by a company, and all those math things are here, there, and nether right now.
Yeah, I think it's a good time to make a plug that Sarah Smith is one of the sites for the community review of the new potential math curriculums for next year.
That ended the 10th.
Oh, it ended the 10th,
Yes.
but some of them are still
Yeah, they're still here. You can still come see them.
So if somebody listening wanted to look at any of this math curriculum,
It's still here.
would they need to come outside of school hours? Like
If
would
they
need
just
to come
contact, we
before?
can make an
Okay,
arrangement.
Contact Ms. Pro. And the current ones are HMH and
The ones for elementary are HMH, Carnegie, and Eureka
okay,
2.0.
because we've seen Eureka before.
Yes, yes.
Sorry. Oh, Eureka math.
The new one is more developmentally appropriate, has,
Eureka, Carnegie, and HMH are the new potential choices for next year's math curriculum.
yes.
Who chooses? Not, we don't vote, right?
The community has, the
Feedback.
people who gave feedback.
Yeah.
The teachers were able to give feedback through the same process. And then that goes up to the district and they're gonna make a choice for the district. It's not like we did with literacy, we were able to choose HMH or benchmark. As far as I know, it'll be one choice district-wide. No idea. They all have Spanish also. So that was part of the process, is to make sure. So they all have potential, and we'll still incorporate some of the positives out of Godot.
Have everyone here review those?
I did the literacy last year. I did not do the math this year.
Okay.
Because literacy last year, schools got to give input. and different schools chose different things. This year, the district is choosing.
It, based on the feedback that's sent in. What I can tell you what our teachers did is in one of their math PLCs, you know, besides being able to come and look at them, we looked at certain standards in each of the resources, like they look to see like, what are we teaching next week? If we were using each of these resources, what would it look like? And which would be better? And, you know, different grade levels like different, you know, as they were doing it. But I do, when looking at the resources, I'm looking through the lens of, we need to reach all of our student groups. And I'm not sure that what we're using right now is, it's either what we're using or what we're doing. And so I've been working on what we're doing with it, to close gaps with previous grade skills and current grade skills.
Is there anything that, okay, so I've been here for a while and I feel like every year there's like a new curriculum. It's either math, it's either reading, it's Godot, we got this new special tool on, like, is there anything like, okay, so people have been doing math forever. Is there anything that we have at Sarah Smith that is like, by the end of first grade, I mean, I know we've got the state standards. By the end of first grade, all students can do these skills.
We
And then
actually
we can,
did that this year.
okay, and then they can talk with second grade and they can say, first grade needs this, like, like,
What we
how,
did
is there
this
anything
year,
like that doesn't
yes.
change?
Yes, you've probably heard the teachers talk about the shining stars and rising stars a little bit. And what we did this year is at the beginning of the year, we met vertically with all of the grade levels and we looked at the progressions of math. And we had the teachers from the current grade and the previous grade and the next grade all identify 5 skills that they, from the standards, the numeracy ones that really focus on the operations and place value. 5 skills that if students came up to their grade, that would be hugely beneficial as they're moving forward. They have so many things, but we picked like the top 5 skills. And we did a negotiation between the grades and talked about which ones would those be. And those are the skills, we call them shining stars. Those are the previous grades, 5 skills. And then we have our current grade skills. And so what we've done is we're assessing the students in those skills to know who still needs to master skills from previous grade.
Okay.
And then the teachers for their small group time are using that data, and they've had to create a schedule with their support staff and stuff to identify these 7 kids need to work on skill A. And so then they're working on that, and then we'll come back and retest it. And to go back and try to close some of these gaps. And then we have this year's skills that will be assessing those 5 skills so that we'll know where they're at. And we actually have charts in the room where they're putting up stickers to be able to keep track of who does it, who has those skills and who doesn't. We're using Mastery Connect to create those assessments. It has been a huge lift, but once it's created, then we'll have it and be able to space it out better for next year. Because right now we're sandwiching it all in as we're creating it. But we decided that we needed something like that to be able to help us focus on what the kids needed in math.
It was amazing to
Thanks for that.
watch,
Yeah.
to see the grade levels being like, oh, what about this? What about that? And they wanted to add more and.
Yeah, they wanted more. I'm like, "You're not
Stacy's
gonna
like,
want more."
5, we've
Yeah.
gotta have 5. It was great. There's a lot of good energy in the room when they were doing that.
Do we have any root cause analysis on why Hispanics and Blacks seem to be so low compared to the other groups?
It would be guessing. I mean, you know, some of it is transients, you know, some of it is language development and we're taking the tests in English. Some of it is that we haven't had that focus on mastery We've taught and kept going. And then having to have a focus on getting some skills mastered. So, we talk about it a lot, like why, and so we're trying to work on, let's see if we expect these skills, if we can at least get these done to mastery. Cause we're getting, given a lot. We have a lot of data.
Mhm. It's like, how do you put it to work?
Yeah.
Or like what other resources perhaps could, maybe if we had like the star, I'm just like trying to think like, as a parent, if my child doesn't have the star
Yeah.
mastery, like what resources am I being
Mhm.
spoon fed?
Uh-huh.
Because,
Yeah.
you know, to put into practice with my child, maybe that could be, you know, a
And that's a
resource.
great next step, because what the teachers are doing right now is creating a bank of reteach strategies and reteach resources that they can pull from. But if we even had a parent like notification, like, please work with your child on
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
That would be a great next step.
Why
Yeah.
don't we have spring conferences, like out the door conferences?
I was gonna, you guys, do you not have end of year conferences here? I haven't even talked to anybody about that.
In the spring, they were usually as requested.
Mhm.
Okay.
You could request one from your teacher if you wanted to, like on that early release day.
Mhm.
I think sometime, and there may be another teacher work day that are usually intended that you could ask for.
Have you
one of
guys
those days.
had student-led conferences in the past?
In the past.
We talked about it, but
And
not in the
haven't
last
had
few
way
years.
past.
We'll work
And
on that.
Maybe specific teachers
that
did them.
Yeah,
I find
So
that
we'll-
surprising.
we'll work
Mm.
towards that.
We
And then,
have had them
Before.
way.
and
Yeah,
because like
wonderful.
student-led conferences with these kinds of skills where you can show, these are my shining stars, my rising
Mhm.
stars, this is where I am in reading and how
I
I've
think that
grown.
was on our list of Go Team, right? That was one of the things that were suggested after that long survey, the school climate survey. That was one of the suggestions that they gave.
See, I don't know if I can get there this year, but if not, we'll definitely have. This was the student group one as well, and then you know, you can kind of see when you do proficient, you are building in language and you have to factor in, you know, these are when you know you have learning difficulties and you know you're developing language. When you look at proficient, you're, you know, the economically disadvantaged, I think we can get those higher. For sure. And then your SWD groups and your ESOL students change depending on who's in your school each year. And then the one other thing you asked data wise is you wanted to look at, and I have it in my notes, I'm so proud of myself for finding it, is DLI and traditional math, like to look to see if the language was an issue. What are your observations?
DLI is doing better than traditional? Is that what I'm seeing there?
It's not broken up by student population or groups, but
I did not, it's hard to do that as much because I end up identifying individual students, you know, especially by grade.
Why
But-
do you think there are only 40 in fourth and fifth grade? That seems, are there only 40?
This only pulls English assessments with math, so some of them are taking the assessment if their proficiency level for DLI. If their proficiency level is below a certain proficiency level, then they take math in Spanish, and so this one is only pulling.
it's interesting to see that the fifth grade DLI drop,
Drop significantly.
because the
We have a
concepts,
lot-
I'm assuming, get much more in depth and the vocabulary,
And
which would
from
go along with
What I understood,
observations.
we had quite an influx of newcomers,
But they wouldn't be taking this test.
but some of them may have been here long enough that they're taking it in English.
Are the
This is what I
tradition-
assumed, looking at that too.
The traditional primary Spanish speakers are also taking their test in Spanish?
There are very few of
Very few. It's usually 4, 5, maybe in a grade at most.
But there are a lot more in DLI that are choosing
I
Spanish.
think it depends by
The
grade.
teacher has to designate the language, each grade, yes. And allow them to.
And I don't know if we can really compare, there's just so many variables. I don't know if we can really compare this.
Well, when I look at it, I look at, first I look at, okay, developing above, what does that look like? If I looked at yellow and the greens, how is that comparing? And so, for example, if I look at second grade in each, I can see I've got more kids in traditional second grade that are scoring at what would be beginning. There's like double the students. Like if you just look at percentages, not the actual number of students in that red. And so that says to me, do I have enough supports in there to support those kids in second grade, traditional, and which we are starting now that we've had the extra push in and the EIP coming. And, you know, same as I look through to see, do we have supports for those kids? To be able, it's encouraging when you look at like fourth grade. I look at traditionals pretty consistent.
Mhm.
You see more variability in DLI, but you also have, you know, that other demographic of most of your language learners are in DLI.
The sample size, I mean, in my world, the sample size is so different. I
Yeah.
can't compare these, and we may just have to know moving forward
Mhm.
that we have to create more variables. Especially
Absolutely.
with the, that they can choose the language, and you have more students taking it in Spanish than
Mhm.
English and DLI.
And when we look at GMAS, and GMAS takes that out because they were all taking it in English, but you know, every kid is different and what they bring to the table.
So what do you mean the teachers can?
For students who their dominant language, not just dominant, but their predominant language is still Spanish, they can take the map in Spanish on the math side. And so that we can get a true reading of like maybe what they can do in
Actual
math
math
versus the
specific,
language. Because it's not like a standardized test, like a milestone, something the state's using, we can do that. And they could also take it in English if they needed to. This one only pulls the English for me to look at that. But in general, you can look and see, you know, kind of where they're falling in general. And I can dig down and look at by the individual student and by the demographics, but it won't let me pull up the reports because it would be below 15 students in a grade level, possibly. And so that was the data piece. And then we had, don't forget to declare candidacy. They haven't sent our numbers yet, but if you know of anybody, we will have, and I haven't looked to see who, because I don't know you guys well enough to know who's been on multiple years and stuff, but we'll have 2 rolling off and 2 rolling on for parents and for teachers as well. And so it always makes me sad. It's like, and so, but as soon as they send that, if we're low on potential candidates, I'll start begging you to find your neighbors.
Okay. Do we have public comment?
No.
No public comment. Okay, and then we'll move to announcements. Do we have any announcements? I have one, and it's just that this has taken off so quickly. I just thought we should share with the school community about the intersection.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is my camera. So we've all experienced the chaos at the intersection at the intermediate campus. And I just thought it was just really just kind of kudos worthy that 2 of our parents took it to the next step. So Camilla Knowles and Kate Johnson, if you're listening, kudos to you. They actually reached out to our council member, Thomas Worthy, to request enhanced crossing measures at the intersection for the IC. As you know, coming around that curve, sometimes it's just hard to see that the light may be red or just people not paying attention, especially people who are not used to that Wayuka Road. And Thomas Worthy wrote back, and this has taken off and has made it all the way up to the ATL DOT. I think it's going to somehow be grandfathered into the Wayuka Road improvement project. So kudos to you for being community advocates and being persistent to actually get that done. So I
And
just
kudos
wanted to-
to our community for listening too, and it really is quick response.
And Thomas
great.
Worthy for
Yes,
Yeah.
putting his dollars behind the project.
awesome.
That's great.
So if you see stuff happening, that's why.
Mhm.
Awesome. Very cool.
Okay, so if there aren't any other announcements, we've reached the end of our agenda. Is there any additional business at this time? May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
This is Elizabeth. I motion to adjourn the meeting.
A second?
This is Ann, I second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose or abstentions? Thank you, and the meeting is adjourned at 4:37.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Bye.